Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about a type of polygon called a quadrilateral. Before we start talking about quadrilaterals, I just want to review about polygons that we learned about last week. Remember, a polygon has straight lines. That means it doesn't have any curved lines. We also talked about how a polygon is a 2D shape, not a 3D shape. 2D meaning that it's flat, 3D meaning it's three-dimensional and you could actually hold it and feel the edges and sides and faces. Polygons are also closed. We said that they couldn't have any open spots where the lines didn't completely close. And we also learned that the lines could not intersect each other or cross over each other. So hopefully you remember that from last week. And we're going to start by learning about what a quadrilateral is. So if you look on the screen, you will notice that we have the word quadri and lateral. Quad means four, and lateral means sides. So a quadrilateral is a four-sided shape. And if we look, we're talking about what is a quadrilateral, and they have all these different shapes listed. There are squares, rectangles, trapezoids, polygons, quadrilaterals, parallelograms, rhombus, kite, and then there's also irregular quadrilaterals. And just a reminder, at the bottom it says quadrilaterals are one type of polygon. And we learned that when we looked at polygons last week, polygons can have lots of sides. It could have 8 or 9 or 10 sides. For it to be a quadrilateral, again, if we think about the slide that we just looked at, remember quad means four. So a quadrilateral is going to have 4 sides. They are closed figures with 4 sides made from straight line segments. So let's look at a bigger picture of a quadrilateral. Again, it has straight sides, as you can see, all straight sides. It has 4 sides or 4 edges. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It also has 4 corners, which are also called vertices. 1, 2, can't see that one behind my picture, but 3, 4. Okay. And then it says at the bottom, a square is the only regular quadrilateral because it has 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles. And we're going to talk about these angles are called a 90-degree angle. All right, so let's go down here a little bit further and let's look at the next slide. And it talks about sorting shapes into quadrilaterals. So remember, quad means 4. So it has to be a 4-sided shape. So we have 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side. So that is a quadrilateral. Okay, let's look at the next one. 1 side, 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides. That is called a pentagon. So that is not a quadrilateral since it has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a trapezoid. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully we know that one. That is a rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight lines. So that is also a quadrilateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6-sided hexagon. So that is not a quadrilateral. And this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-sided. So that definitely is not a quadrilateral. Remember, a quadrilateral, quad means 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one goes over to the quadrilateral. That is a type of parallelogram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is not a quadrilateral. Obviously, this one has curved edges, so it is not going to be a quadrilateral. And I think we have one more shape under here, but I can't grab it. So obviously, if you look at the difference between the sorting, all of the shapes in the quadrilateral side have 4 straight lines that make up the sides, so it has to be a four-sided figure. We're going to do a little bit more study of quadrilaterals, and we're going to talk about a word called attributes. So let's look at the square. And before we look at the square, let me just tell you the definition of an attribute. An attribute is a trait or property of a shape. A trait is kind of like when a person has characteristics or qualities or traits about them. It tells what type of person they are, maybe what how are they kind? Are they giving? Are they brave? Are they mean? Are they happy? An attribute for a shape kind of does the same thing, except it tells about the shape. So an attribute about a square would be that all sides are equal in length. And we learned that a long time ago, I hope in first grade, that a square has 4 equal sides, right? And then all interior angles are 90 degrees. So that's called a right angle. So it has 4 90-degree angles. So that's attributes of a square. Let's talk about attributes of a rectangle. Remember, an attribute is a trait that tells us more about a shape. So the opposite sides are parallel. And let's talk about what the word parallel means. Parallel means that if this line over here on the left and the far one on the right are parallel of each other, which means I could continue to draw that line up on the left, and I could continue to draw the line up on the right, and they would be the same equal distance all the way up, no matter how far I kept drawing them, and they would never intersect or cross each other. They would stay the same distance apart. Same way with a rectangle, this top line and the bottom line are also parallel from each other. Again, if I drew a line going more to the right on each one of those shapes, they would stay the same distance apart and they would never cross over, so they're called parallel. The opposite sides are equal in length, which means if I measured this top and this bottom, they would be the same length. And if I measured the left and the right, the length of those would be the same. And again, we see that they have right angles. All right, let's talk about another quadrilateral. Remember, quadrilateral means it has 4 sides. In a trapezoid, one pair of opposite sides are parallel. Remember, parallel means that if I continue to draw that line, they would not get any closer together or any farther apart. They would stay the same distance apart and they would never cross over each other. Now, the top line and the bottom line are our parallel lines. They would continue if we drew them out, even going to the left all the way over and the left down at the bottom, they're going to continue to be the same distance apart. If I drew the line on the left up and I kept going, okay, and then I drew it to the right and I kept going, if we kept going, eventually those 2 lines would intersect or cross over each other. So those 2 lines are not parallel to each other. All right. The next quadrilateral we're going to talk about is a parallelogram. The opposite sides are parallel. So the left side and the right side are parallel to each other. And again, if we drew them, they would continue to stay the same distance apart. And again, the top and the bottom are also parallel to each other because they would be the same distance apart. And it says opposite sides are equal in length, which means the left and the right, if I measure them with a ruler, they would be the same measurement, and the top and the bottom are equal in length. And we have 2 more that I want to talk about. We have a rhombus. A rhombus, all sides are equal in length. So it's kind of like a square, but it's squeezed to me a different way, but it kind of looks like a square, but stretched out. And all sides are equal in length, which means if we measured this line, all the other lines would be the same length. And again, opposite sides are parallel. So this line and this bottom line are parallel to each other, and the left and the right lines are parallel to each other. And the last one is a kite. It has 2 pairs of sides. So this is a pair because they are the same length, and this is a pair. Obviously, they're longer in length. Each pair meets at a vertex, making them adjacent sides. So this line and this line meet at this vertex, and the long lines meet at that vertex. And each adjacent side is equal in length. And we kind of talked about that. The top and this bottom are equal in length, and this top and bottom are equal in length. So let's look at one more thing. This kind of helps us put quadrilaterals into groups, which is what you're going to do in just a minute on your journal page that I'm going to show you. Here is a diagram of quadrilaterals, and they have drawn some groups of quadrilaterals. We have parallelograms. Parallelograms, remember, have two pair of parallel sides. So the rhombus fits into that, the rectangle fits into that, and the square fits into that category. Then we have trapezoids. Remember, a trapezoid has one set of parallel sides. So the parallel sides being the top and bottom. This is the one that if we kept drawing it up, they would eventually cross over each other. And then the kite, again, is a quadrilateral. It has four equal sides, or not four equal sides, but it has four straight lines. All right, and the last one I want you to think about is, it says true or false. Every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. So, do you think that is true or false? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. Why can't a rectangle be a square? That is true. Every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. A square is a special type of rectangle that has four equal sides. Every square is a rectangle because it fits the definition of four sides and four right angles. Not every rectangle is a square because most rectangles do not have four equal sides. So we know that a square has four equal sides. We know that it has four right angles. A rectangle does have four right angles. They would be in the corners right here, but rectangles don't usually have four equal sides. If so, then it would be a square. So today what you're going to do is you have a slide deck that you're going to do a few slides on for me today to see if you understand quadrilaterals, which will be below this presentation. You can also look in your green folder that I gave you with your math journal pages in it, and I'm going to click to another page here. It looks like this. It says quadrilateral relationships. This is lesson 4-5, and I would like for you to do number 1. I want you to sketch or draw two quadrilaterals that we just talked about, any two that you want, and tell me what attributes, so what traits do those shapes have that are the same, that they have in common, and then what attributes are different. So you could do the square and the rectangle like we just did on that slide deck, and we would tell what they have the same, meaning that they have two sets of parallel sides. We also know that they have right angles. What would be different would be that the square has four equal sides, and the rectangle has two sets of sides that are equal. So the short sides are equal to each other and the long sides are equal to each other. So think about that, and if you need any help, I am available on Zoom most of the day. You can just click the link and I'll be ready to help you. Thanks, and have a great day.